Gordon, thank you for being with us.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Danielle.
Gordon, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and how did you become so interested and so passionate about these topics?
Well, I was practicing law in China, and we were living there from 1996. And it was a very different time, a very optimistic one. And I can remember in August when we arrived, Lydia, my wife, got on the phone and said, Mom, China's not communist anymore. And I agreed with her because, my clients, I was practicing law, my clients would come in, they'd stay at the Grand Hyatt, which is like one of the most magnificent hotels anywhere in the world. And they would say, China's not communist anymore. Uh, but as we lived there, we traveled around the country, worked there, talked to people. We saw a very different picture. And so I felt that China was not a modern society. Now, I wrote the book, The Coming Collapse of China. And I said that the Communist Party would fall within the decade. This was 2001, so I'm wrong about timing. But what we're seeing right now are simultaneous crises hit the Chinese regime. And it's going to be a very difficult time, which I think it's not only difficult for the regime, the Chinese people, but also for us, because there's a lot of incentive on the part of Xi Jinping, the Chinese ruler, to lash out.
Absolutely. And yourself and us here at Epic Times, we've been sounding the alarm about the CCP influence in the US and the West for years, but today China has more influence than ever. Do you think American representatives and leaders are blind to this, or do you think it's far worse?
I think that the American political class miscomprehends China. And this is not just Joe Biden, who I think does not understand China at all, but also, Republicans and Democrats, liberals and conservatives. Just to pick on Biden, because he's the one sitting in the Oval Office at the moment, he talks about China as a competitor. Sometimes he'll talk about intense competition. But that term is wrong because China's not competing with us. China's not even an adversary. China's an enemy. And we know that because China calls us an enemy. May 2019, People's Daily, which is the most authoritative publication in China, actually carried a piece that declared a quote unquote people's war on America. And we know that Xi Jinping, for a couple decades, has been talking about not the Westphalian International Order that's been in place since 1648, which recognizes the sovereignty of states which compete and cooperate. He's been talking about overthrowing that and instituting worldwide Chinese rule. And since 2018, Chinese officials have actually talked about the moon and Mars as sovereign Chinese territory. So this is a revolutionary who is sitting in Beijing. And the thing about the US is that we're a far stronger society than China when you look at the metrics. But China can actually destroy America because we're not defending ourselves and he's attacking us.